High level dating, keys to attraction, frame, and relationships. Little disclaimer: these frames will not make up for a lack of work. So these frames are for guys that are doing everything already. They've leveled up their life. They're entering the top 1% in money, in physique, in social skills. They can fight. You're handsome. You're dressing well. These these frames will not. They'll just not make up for a lack of work in any other respect as a man. The number one thing you can do for your dating is to be the man with options, is to be the man who can conquer literally anything. You should be 90% focused on your own self improvement, not on women. It's about 10% of your brain power should be on women, and the 90% should be where you're just dominating your life and doing your thing. So these frames are not the be all and end all. They work incredibly well if you are a high level guy. They still work if you're not a high level guy yet, but you're on your way there. But you have to be doing the work on yourself. But we all know that. But that's just a little disclaimer to start. There's two categories of women that you should look at when you're dating as a young man. And these are fun girls and serious girls. Fun girls are fun. You treat them well. You treat all women well. I think that goes without saying, but you never get too close. You don't. You very quickly put these women into categories, and you don't open up and show parts of your personality or vulnerable sides of yourself to the fun women. That's not what their job is, because these girls can be very dangerous if they're not in the correct category. And I'll tell you how to differentiate between the two. But fun girls should be fun, and serious girls, they will bring a genuine advantage to your life. These girls are not just for fun or sex or going out with or just a girl to have on your arm. These girls can bring a genuine advantage. They bring you peace in your life. They can be immensely helpful in your sort of how you run your life, your business on a lower level, and they'll allow you to stay focused, because when you have the love of a good woman and you're kind of working at things and she's around you, you're no longer out at the clubs, you're no longer on Tinder, you're no longer chasing. And that can be a big drain of time. It certainly has been for me previous times in my life. And if you're looking to get to the top, I think having a good girl by your side is not a bad thing at all. I think it's a very reasonable thing to have in your life. I don't think you should be single the whole time. I think it's quite hard to become seriously successful if you are single, because especially if you still want women. If you don't want women and you just want to grind, fair enough. But most guys don't want to do that, and they spend a lot of time just wasting on hoes and stuff. So how do you tell who's who? How do you tell the good girls from the bad girls? And there's a lot of stuff that you have to read into socially, like you have to ask questions without asking questions. You can never directly ask a girl her body count and expect a true answer. That's never going to happen. So you have to know how to figure these things out for yourself. And you do that through kind of like a detective game of trying to figure somebody out. And this is best done on first dates. This is always best done at the beginning, because when you're at the beginning, you've got no ties to each other. Women are a lot more open in the beginning. As they start to understand you or they start to feel for you, that's when they close off. That's when they change their stories. But at the start, if you're out, you're having fun, you have a few drinks, you can casually find out things about them through light-hearted questions that you don't seem to care about. This is where you figure the girls out, and you figure it all out very nonchalant. You are very calm, very chilled with your questioning that you ask women, and you just take note of the answers and you put them into this category. So anyone who's girls that are really into the party life, especially girls with no real job, which if you start to be in the Bangkok scene or Dubai or any of these places, you start to find girls that just seem to exist, just beautiful women that exist in the universe, but they have no real occupation. And these are women that you have to watch out for, because they're riding the dick carousel basically. A high body count, obviously. The reason why, if you don't know this, because this often gets misconstrued and people don't understand why a high body count in a female is bad, and feminism and a lot of the Western agenda makes women think that they can be free and open with their bodies. After a while, when a woman basically has sex, there's a hormone that's released. I believe it's oxytocin, and it makes you bond with somebody. So it makes you basically feel close to them and feel like you don't want to lose them. The more a woman sleeps with men, the less she gets of oxytocin, the less she bonds. It's called pair bonding. The less she has the ability to bond. So if you're sleeping with a girl and she's slept with 50, 60 guys before, she's pretty much completely lost her ability to pair bond with somebody else. So if there was ever any issues, things might be great at the start. But if there's any issues in the relationship, she's going to find it very easy to jump ship. Whereas if you take a girl's virginity, you'll find she'll do almost anything to not lose you because she wants to keep that first relationship. And the closer they are to virgins, the higher those feelings, the easier it is to have a decent relationship together because they will bond to you so strongly. Another thing to look at, any of the sort of disobedience or feminist agenda. When you're starting out dating, be super fun. Don't never go into dating and try and set all the rules. This stuff comes later on and it's always set from like a playful frame. But when you come up straight against women that are trying to be disobedient, put you down, they're kind of playing the feminist game, you can still hang out. And if you want to, fuck these girls. I personally don't, but if you want to, you could. But these are traits that put them in the fun category because that's not what you're looking for in the woman. Remember, this is a woman that's meant to bring you peace and improve your life. Also, like, look at their occupations. Air hostesses, that you might think, oh, that's a bit mean. Why can't I have air hostess? You can have air hostess for fun. That's no problem. But air hostess is traveling around, meeting customers all the time and never having any real home base. Which means when a woman has no home base, nobody to keep her accountable to her behavior, she's much more likely to sleep around because nobody ever knows what she's doing. She never has any real network. Obviously, bar girls, this depends on where you live around the world. When we say bar girl in Thailand, we mean a girl that is literally in a bar to entertain customers. But women that are working in nightlife, oh, you know what happens in nightlife. You know what happens when alcohol's involved. These are women that often have high body counts. So another one to watch out for. When you first start dating, if she's playing too many games, she's got a highly sexual Instagram, she disappears off messages, like doesn't respond to you for a day or so, goes out, doesn't pick up her phone, then comes back to you and is like, oh, sorry, yeah, my phone was out of charge. Like these are all big red flags. And then these girls, there's no problem. You can still hang out with them, have fun, but you just put them in that category so you don't get overexposed and put yourself in any difficulties. Good girls will normally have normal jobs. They maybe work as a receptionist. Let's just say she's a receptionist at the dentist, or she spends a lot of time at home. She likes to look after her family. She has actual hobbies. This is a big one. Like she reads, or she goes and plays some sort of sport or a game, or she has something that she's interested in that isn't just partying and Instagram. That's a very good sign if you find a woman with an actual hobby. Loves her family, wants to start her own family. This is a big one to look for when you're going to dinner with girls and they're just like, yeah, I want to get that money. That's normally a big red flag. When you meet a girl and she's like, yeah, I'm just kind of looking for the right person to settle down with, to have a family with. That's somebody who's going to make a good partner for an entrepreneur, for a high value man like yourselves, because we're looking for that other piece of the puzzle. We're not looking for a woman to bring the money in. She should be obedient, so she does basically what you say, and she should adore you. I only put girls in the good girl category if they're real fuck yes energy, if they really are enthusiastic to see me, if they'll message, double, triple text. Girls that are kind of besotted with you and they really, really like you. This makes fantastic relationship framing compared to a girl that you have to constantly chase down and you're not her top option. What is frame? So I'll keep using this term frame. And framing is basically a dominant social position favored towards your rules and regulations. So when you frame and you are the dominant frame in any scenario, it means that you have the upper hand and everyone sees you as the boss, basically. You're framing things in a way that make you the boss and people operate inside of your reality. So if any of you have had jobs or still have jobs, you're normally operating in your boss's reality. He tells you what to do, tells you when you could have lunch, but nobody tells the boss or the owner of the company when he can go in, have lunch. Nobody tells him what to do. He takes vacations when he wants. That's frame. It's essentially being able to run situations. In relationships, there must be a dominant and a submissive personality. These make the best relationships. Now, these can be either gender. There can be a submissive man and there can be a dominant female, but I do not think that's probably what this brotherhood and this group is going to be looking for. But this can happen. If you're a super submissive guy and you like being dominated, that can work. I've seen that work, and there are some women that are like this. Normally, the best way to do this is have a huge gap between the man being super dominant and the woman being super submissive. The bigger the gap, the better the relationship, I've found. You need big disparity between the two. Dominating actually means ultimate care, love, and protection for the sub. So a lot of people think dominating and they put it with this kind of bad term. They think it's a bad thing. Dominating actually means you're taking ultimate responsibility and care for the person that's under your, basically anyone who's operating in your frame. If you become the dominant person in that frame, you are looking after them, and it's about protection. They allow you so women will allow you to guide them because they feel that you lead them better than they can lead themselves. They feel that you are better for them personally than they are for themselves. When you can do this, women absolutely love it. That's exactly what they're looking for, is a man who can lead them in a way that's better for them, that they don't have to think anymore, and they just have to do the things that you ask them to do, and it makes them a better person, makes them healthier, makes them more attractive, makes them have better relationships with their family, improves their life. That's what you want to be as a man. So when I say dominating, I mean love, basically, and responsibility. I don't mean control and deception and that sort of stuff. So how do you set frame? Setting frame is pretty simple. It's deciding for yourself what you will and will not accept in a relationship. You become vocal about these things. You no longer let them sit. You always explain them, and you walk away if they're not met. You never bully or force a frame. You never try and make somebody fit into your frame. You set a frame, and they either operate in your frame or they operate out of your frame. That's up to you to walk away if somebody does not come into your frame. That's your only tool that you can use as a man, is your ability to remove yourself. That's the only card that you have, is your ability to remove attention and cut people off. That is the frame that you have to use. You cannot bully or force people. She operates in your world because she wants to. She has her options, and it's always take it or leave it. And this is for relationships. When you start doing this stuff, I don't recommend doing any of this on a first date. You're just kind of questioning, you're having fun with a guy on the first date. This stuff comes in later on when you actually make a girl your girlfriend. That's when you start to really frame. And that's when you have the ability to walk away, because you've got some skin in the game. At the start, try and be more fun. I'll give you a couple of examples of how you set frame in the beginning. But a dominant frame, basically, as a man, a dominant frame is the leader doesn't have to ask. You don't have to ask to do things. He doesn't ask where we should eat for dinner. He doesn't ask what he should wear. He won't accept bad behavior. He won't accept disobedience. The dominant frame instructs. We're going here at this time. Be ready. Wear this. That's a dominant frame. You can do this. I prefer if you don't party. If you want to party, that's fine. I just won't take you seriously anymore. And you give them the option. That's how you set frame, because you're trying to look after someone else and you have responsibility for them. When you're in the early days of a relationship, this is a very easy way to instantly set the frame. We're going to go to dinner here at this time. Be ready at this time. Don't be late. Wear this. That's fine. In a playful way, that's absolutely fine early on in a relationship when you're first dating a girl. That's a good way to set a dominant frame to begin with. Even ordering their food for them. I do this all the time. I don't ever go to restaurants really and let women order unless they particularly want to. But I've found that most of the time, if you just take the menu and you order for them, they prefer that anyway. So I normally order for them. But it's always done very playfully. If a girl wants to order her food and she's super sort of wants to do that, I'll give her the menu and be like, yeah, no problem. You order. But most of the time, they don't even want to make that decision. So you just play it by ear and see which situation you're in. So when you set frame, the reason you're setting frame is because you're a busy man and you can't allow women to distract you or take up too much of your time. And women will constantly try to break frame. So you have to decide how much you're going to see women. When's your time for work? You have to keep discipline in your life. This is part of your frame. When you set your frame, you have to make sure that a woman's not taking up too much of your time. And that's only ever going to be decided by you. She's never going to decide that. She's never going to decide there's a day where she wants to stay at home, where she wants to do her own thing. You have to sort this stuff out for yourself, and you have to keep your discipline in the amount that you see her. Setting clear boundaries ensures that you can keep going to where you want to be, going to the top 1%, working on your business, keeping your body in shape, keep training. And it stops them from feeling they deserve more time with you. You're the boss. What you say goes. If your only real tool is to walk away, you have to give your time some value. And if your time's super valuable because you're always working or training and she can only see you on limited days, that gives your time some actual value rather than her being available all the time. Another thing to mention, never move in with your girlfriend or your wife, or even when you have kids. You need a separate residence. Remember, this is top 1% dating. This is not normal person dating. This is not 9 to 5 dating. This is top 1%. High value man dating. We do not move in with women under any circumstances. Even if you have children, you have one residence that the children and the women stay at, and one residence, maybe it's a condo or a penthouse that you do your work at and you can stay at when you want to. It's very, very important that you are not both in the same house. It destroys relationships very quickly because it's incredibly difficult to hold frame 24/7. Holding frame 24/7 is incredibly hard, but it's easy if you only see a girl twice a week. If you see a girl twice a week, you can be a dominant frame. You can be super attractive to them for those 2 times of the week. And then when you're sorting your shit out, when you're doing all your other stuff, you're at your other residence doing your own thing. Makes it much, much easier to keep frame, because the better you hold frame, the more obedient your woman will be, the more she'll love you. The less you're able to hold frame, the more weakness she sees, the more you'll be tested. Women will continue to test frames subconsciously. They're not normally consciously doing this, but they are looking for a man who actually is as strong as he seems to be. They're testing you to see if you're not just talking all the talk, but whether you can walk the walk as well. They do this naturally because they want to mate with the highest possible option for themselves. They're hyper gamers, so they want to accelerate their lives through dating. They want to date top dog. So you'll be continuously tested to see if your frame still stands, to see if you're still top dog, and if she's still with the alpha male. This is not done consciously. Women will say they do not do this. They absolutely do. They do it subconsciously. It's how they're wired. You have to stay aware of that. Once you set frame, you absolutely have to be willing to walk away if they disobey. You cannot expect them to immediately understand full frame. So when you first start relationship, you have to spend time educating. The perfect woman is made. She's not something that you find. You have to build a woman to be how you want her to be, through teaching, through telling her the rules, through pulling back if she doesn't agree, letting her come back to you. This is a kind of a game, and you play it over a long period of time to build the perfect woman. When a woman asks how you are, you're always good. Because if you're not, you take her out of her feminine and you make her scared. If you're the boss, if you're in charge of everything, and at some point you're not cool, you're not fine, everything's tough for you, or you're worried and scared, that's amplified twice as much in the way that she feels compared to how you feel about it. She'll take that on twice as hard, and she will no longer be feminine. She'll start thinking in her masculine. She'll start trying to solve your problems. Your problems are for your boys. If you've got issues, you speak to the brotherhood. If you've got issues, you call your buddy. You never put the issues on the woman. You never bring the issues into the relationship. You're giving her peace as well, and she's giving you peace. That's all it is. You do not bring her issues. Just an example of frame is like, when you're hanging out together, you say you're going to wake up a certain time and work out. If she wants to lie in, that's fine. She can stay in bed and sleep. That's absolutely fine. But you go through to the other room, you start working, or you go hit your workout. That's super attractive to a woman. They want to know that you're still going to be doing your thing, whether she's there or not.